Asuka and Charlotte are suddenly the best of friends. Alexa Bliss makes her return, and we get the inevitable holiday street fight. Your Monday Night Raw review starts right now.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, the most passionate and authentic wrestling analysis on the web. We've got you covered with every Raw, SmackDown, and NXT show, giving you a no bullshit opinion. We know you love wrestling. We do too. So let's get this show underway.
And that's the bottom line. What? 'Cause Stone Cold said so.
Hey everybody, welcome to your Monday Night Raw review right here on the WWE Podcast. Hope everybody's doing well on this Christmas week. Whether you celebrate or not, hope you enjoy your week, but those that are celebrating, obviously Merry Christmas. I don't do Happy Holidays here because we're not a political show. Damn it, we can say Merry Christmas, and that's exactly what I'm going to say. So thank you everybody, and hope you got your shopping done. I'm still working on a couple things as we get down to the 11th hour. Boy, I feel like I would fit right in the federal government, wouldn't I? I mean, right down to the last second to do stuff. That's me. Yep, I'm that idiot on Christmas Eve shopping. That's me. But anyway, hope everyone is doing great as we get towards the new year of 2021. I don't think it can come soon enough for almost everyone, I can say universally. But we are about 6 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. 6 weeks. I went over this with the Botch Guy on YouTube, which, by the way, you can check out our TLC, our full TLC review that we did late Sunday night into early Monday morning. A full recap of the pay-per-view that we absolutely loved. And yes, the hokey craziness of The Fiend and Randy Orton, believe it or not, we didn't have a whole lot of negative to say about that. But we really love the pay-per-view. We give you a really great analysis that went, hour 20? Hour, something like that. And so check that out if you are interested in that. But also go subscribe to him on YouTube if you haven't already. You're missing out. I mean, you really are. He puts content up faster than anybody I've ever seen on a wrestling channel. He is on top of everything and super entertaining. So check out the Botch Guy on YouTube. He'll be back here on the post-Royal Rumble review show. Again, that's 6 weeks away. My God, that is so far away in wrestling time. I mean, WWE typically is about 3 weeks between pay-per-views. 4, right? 3 to 4 even's kind of stretching it. I've even seen them do 1 week. Wasn't there like a 1 week gap between, I don't know if it was SummerSlam and Payback or something like that this week or this year? So 6 weeks is like 2 pay-per-view cycles worth of wait. And so we got a long time. We'll have to see how storylines start to shake out. It doesn't seem like we have solidified programs going into Royal Rumble now as we kind of look at the road to WrestleMania. I know that the start of the official start of WrestleMania, the road to it, is at the Royal Rumble event itself. But to look at the build to the Royal Rumble, you are essentially on the road to WrestleMania, right? I mean, that's how I kind of look at this now, especially as we turn the calendar to 2021 and get into January. We will have a much clearer picture of Rumble and Mania. So, I hope, I'm sure we all hope against hope that fans are actually able to attend in limited capacities in Tropicana Field. I think it's a great venue. And we cross our fingers because fans add so damn much. And on a side note, I recently got done watching the Broken Skull sessions with Drew McIntyre as his guest. And if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. I mean, all of Austin's Broken Skull sessions are pretty good. Especially, Undertaker's was really good. He had Kurt Angle on, among others. And this one was really well done. And it was because it really solidified in my mind Drew McIntyre as WWE champion. As a legitimate champion, as a man that is a man's man, and he didn't want anything to do with anything else other than wrestling in his life. This wasn't plan B, this was plan A. A guy that persevered, a guy that was broken down and built back up. This, you talk about, literally a man's man he is just absolutely more invested than I think many of us even suspected. And you learn a lot in this hour. I think it was like an hour and a half, roughly, on the Broken Skull sessions. Check it out, guys. It'll give you an introspective into Drew McIntyre's career and his personal life and what led to his downfall, and his even discusses his match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 35 and the changes even from then till now, and how he's finally put it all together. It's so introspective. I love it, and it did nothing but make me want to see Drew McIntyre succeed even more. He is literally the same guy you see on TV, just toned down a little bit. It's awesome. So check that out. There's a plug for the WWE Network. But it's really, really good. So anyway, let's start talking about Monday Night Raw. That I think was really, it could have been worse. I'll say that. It was a show that absolutely could have been worse. We've seen worse in the past when it comes to holiday week shows. I'm never a fan of the holiday week shows because they're hokey. They are very predictable. And yes, we got some of that tonight, or last night rather. It wasn't the best showing that WWE's had in terms of Monday Night Raw, but again, the bar is set so low for me on holiday weeks that I didn't expect much anyway. But to their credit, they did progress storylines. They didn't just phone everything home. They certainly, here and there, showed signs that we're going to move forward with certain storylines and others we're going to kind of put on hold. And one of them that they put on hold was Randy Orton and The Fiend. Yes, Alexa Bliss returned. That was great to see with Alexa's Playground. That was cool. Really cool. And, I think WWE's getting away with murder. No pun intended, with Randy Orton and The Fiend on Sunday night. But I think they are, with no fans being there, they're able to do these kind of crazy stunts of setting up a swing set and everything else within seconds. Apparently, Alexa Bliss has the power to do that, which obviously we know are done within probably 30, 40 minutes to set everything up, and it's just camera work. They wouldn't be able to get away with that in front of a live crowd. Same with The Fiend last night, 2 nights ago. I don't know what the hell day it is anymore. And that's the kind of thing that they will not be able to pull off in front of a live audience that has the attention span of, 5-10 seconds of darkness to get whatever you need to get, or just to have someone run away, whoever's not supposed to be there, or to appear. So, but nonetheless, Alexa Bliss returned, and it was great to see her back, and she gave Randy Orton a warning, that when he comes back, basically he could be more sadistic than ever, essentially. I'm paraphrasing, and I believe it. I think that Randy Orton, or The Fiend, when he returns, I don't know how he could get more sadistic. I mean, you've taken this character that's already an extreme character to make him more extreme. I don't know what that means. As the Botch guy alluded to on my review show, on our review show, he said maybe he comes back with a burned mask. That would be cool. Kind of a burned, disfigured, maybe kind of melted skin look of a mask. I think that'd be cool. Maybe a small attire change. There is something that has to change with The Fiend now. And I don't know where you go with The Fiend. Like where do you go with this? And furthermore, this isn't even it was implausible before. Seth Rollins and The Fiend at the infamous Hell in a Cell in 2019 set the bar really low and destroyed a lot of what The Fiend, the kind of the specialness of The Fiend, or the uniqueness, or what he may stand for, and that we learned was very quickly of no selling everything. No selling completely. And so with that said, what more can you do than light somebody on fire? There's no wrestling move that you can do that would be more devastating than literally lighting someone's entire body on fire. So where do you go? I mean, that's what you do if you literally want to destroy a character and they're gone, and fine, that's part of a story to move them to the next chapter, and if that particular character's gone. But I just don't know, because you have gone to the most extreme thing you can do outside of, putting a gun to The Fiend's head and pulling the trigger. That's the only thing I can think of that is more extreme than lighting his entire body on fire. So anybody The Fiend goes against next, how could he ever be defeated? There's nothing. Maybe Alexa Bliss is the key to his weakness. Maybe there's something there. Maybe that's the kryptonite to the Fiend's power. Maybe. But really, fire lighting the entire... I don't know. It's going to make me take a step back and go, this isn't even like in pro wrestling insanity plausible, much less actual real life plausible. So I didn't hate what they did on Sunday. In fact, I praised a lot of what the Inferno match did, but it just on the back end, it's like, okay, you've gone to the extreme. Like you've gone 0 to 100. Well, you skipped all these other chapters in between, but you can't go back. Once you've gone to that nth degree, like there's no going back. So it'll be interesting to see when the Fiend returns. Like first of all, how does he look? Right? I'm sure he looks different, as I said, but how could he ever be defeated or destroyed? I guess he can't. He's impenetrable, I guess. But Alexa Bliss, again, a joy to have back. I think she's been gone for 2-3 weeks now. It's just really, really nice to have her back. And Randy Orton's excuse about talking the voices in his head and how sadistic he can be. And Randy Orton's always very good. And the smile he had in his face, it was very well done. Randy Orton is a master promo. And I liked his reasoning. It didn't last long, though, before, obviously, we saw Alexa come out in the Fiend's place. All right. Now we get to a tag team match here that is Asuka and Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce. Without even getting into the match yet, I have a lot of issues on its face. Like, the face value of this match, I have issues with before I even get into the match. Which, I mean, honestly, the match itself, I don't really have a big problem with, but just the text of this match. And here's what I'm talking about. Number one. Asuka and Charlotte Flair are suddenly the best of friends. It's as if they are inseparable. You know, they are the BFFs for L. You know, the ones that write in your yearbook, oh my God, we are just, we're like sisters, we're so close. I mean, they're holding hands for God's sakes. And the reason we get, at least they bothered to give us a reason, which I actually do appreciate, as basic and as, really unexpecting as that should be. I appreciate that. But the reason was that they are there because of the respect for one another. Right? Like, they are there because they respect one another, and that's it. Well, just because you respect somebody doesn't mean every time you see them, you get this glowing look on your face, you're hugging, you're holding hands, doing commentary. That's not what respect does. Respect doesn't mean that you want to team up with somebody and be their best friend. Respect often means that I don't like you, I don't want to hang out with you, we're not friends, but I respect you. That's what respect is. They went to best of friends / sisters. And does anybody, remember the history of these two? And WWE alluded to it a little bit. These two have had many battles in the past. Okay, fine. I'll give them the basics that I shouldn't even have to give them credit for. It's sad that I actually have to give them credit for things that I shouldn't have to give them credit for, but based on their history, I do. But again, they put them together out of respect, which is so loose. But the history of these two, do you forget that Charlotte Flair took the SmackDown Women's Championship from Asuka right before, like the week before or 2 weeks before WrestleMania 35, just so they could shove Charlotte in the main event? Did we just forget that? Or that Charlotte broke Asuka's streak at WrestleMania a few years ago? How many times she's attacked Asuka, run down Asuka, and all of a sudden these two respect each other? Why? Why? I mean, did the respect not exist before? I don't understand this. I would at least understand maybe a hesitation with these two being on the same team. I would at least expect, okay, we're not going to be hugging and kissing and holding hands, skipping down, a sidewalk, which is what they're doing right now. But at least there's some hesitation and kind of scoping each other out. But there's a respect there. And then they develop into that. But it's just 0 to 100. They go from despising one another, trying to injure one another, to, Asuka losing to Charlotte 2 weeks before WrestleMania 35, taking her out of the main event, essentially. And her streak being broken by Charlotte. Everything she said about Charlotte has said about Asuka over the past is all just forgotten. Because what? She wanted to be a part of the tag team to, compete for the women's tag team championships. So that's part one. Part two, which is actually a good thing. This is actually a good thing, and I'm going to get to the other things I don't like. But the one good thing out of this part two is, hey, they're focusing on the women's tag team championships. You can't tell me in another time in its existence since, I think it was, Sasha and Bayley won those tag team championships. They were the inaugural winners. That the women's tag team championships have not felt more important than they did last night. That's a good thing. That is the most important they've ever felt in its existence. So that's a plus. And we have some teams coming out of the woodwork. So that's good. Lacey Evans and Dana Brooke, right? And we have the Riot Squad. We have women's tag teams that actually are, they're starting to get a little bit of depth. And they're taking women that may not have had other things going on in singles careers, and they're slapping them together as tag teams. And that's fine. I'd rather have them being slapped together than doing nothing, sitting backstage and catering. So that's, part two. Part three to this. We have Lana, who is really the one that is the victim here in this Charlotte return. Lana, who I have destroyed many times on this show of saying I want her gone. Not fired, just off my TV screen for several months. To actually somehow creating a sympathetic character that I hated. And they, they did as good of a job as you could have expected from that disaster of a character. And gaining sympathy, and they had a semi-interesting story going between between Nia Jax and Lana. We had the kind of lucky streak of Lana continue, and then she gets injured last week before the pay-per-view, which causes Asuka to have to find a new partner. So I do feel for Lana on a personal level, not really like a actual character level. Like, I don't feel sad for her character on camera. I feel bad for CJ Perry, like the person, the woman. That's who I feel bad for, because you know that she actually feels angry and broken about this. She tweeted about it. She said, "I've never been so disappointed in my life. I was crushed when I learned I was going to be on TLC." I'm sure she was. For what, a Charlotte return? Which, in a way I actually agree. It would have been more entertaining, I think, rather than Charlotte and Asuka, to have Lana and Asuka carry those women's tag team championships. A story that Lana and Nia Jax really were at the center of, and all of a sudden that's all forgotten and it's just Charlotte again. So there's so many layers to this. There's so many layers to this story that it's kind of more complex than it needs to be. But Lana, I feel bad for, the woman, CJ Perry. I feel really bad for her. I do. And I was starting to enjoy the Lana and Nia Jax interaction on a weekly basis to see how far they could go before, Lana finally, has her streak run out. They didn't even have her on the show. And yes, she got injured, but I don't know. It's just weird that they just immediately put Charlotte in. The first night back, she becomes a champion. It's just very fitting for how they've booked Charlotte over the last several years. That she's always in a championship picture. She's always got a belt around her waist. And another layer to this, I guess this is part 4. Or there's more parts to this. I don't mean to be so complex on this one issue and this one match, but you have to understand the things that are going on here. Because there's a lot. It's not just, Asuka replaced Lana with Charlotte because Lana was injured and off we go. No. There's a lot to this. Plus, we have Charlotte, who, does she really need to be a champion right now? And she's a babyface. Right? Why is Charlotte a babyface? She does not need to be a babyface right now. She is born to be a heel. She feels so fake when she's a babyface. Just never, ever feels authentic. She's very good as a heel. It was funny that Nia Jax called out her robotic voice. She had to have gotten that from, podcasts like this, I'm not saying this particular one, but other major podcasts that have said the exact same thing, that Charlotte doesn't have a very good delivery. She's just kind of like one tone and very just exactly what it is, robotic, just very one way to say things. So there is that, and that was funny, and I'm actually kind of surprised that she brought that up. You know, it's if you're a babyface, you don't want to be called out on how you deliver promos for something that the fans know kind of is there, and they have said it before, and I can see you saying it to a heel, kind of insult them and be funny, but to say it to a babyface kind of, leaves a little egg on their face because it's true. But that is the other thing too. Again, like, why is Charlotte a babyface? Why does she immediately get a championship opportunity? Why are these two suddenly the best of friends in the whole world? Respect is one part of it, but it doesn't tell the whole story why they're literally holding hands during commentary together. And I don't know, there was some cute little nickname, the Muscle. Oh gosh, somebody's going to correct me or email me. The Muscle Girls or something. Asuka was screaming something awkward, as she always does. And so the other thing is, here's part 5. We have the fact that we all know that Charlotte's going to turn on Asuka. It's going to happen. How can it not? You could have Asuka turn heel. I mean, people aren't talking about that. You could have the opposite happen where, they think they know what's going to happen. Let's flip the script. I don't think that's a good idea. I enjoy Asuka as a babyface. And I think the correct casting is Charlotte as a heel, Asuka as a babyface. It works well. Why are we trying to flip it just to flip it? Let's just get the predictability over with. The only thing I noticed, though, they did bring up on Raw, before Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler interrupted Asuka and Charlotte, that Charlotte said to Asuka, now about that women's championship, since we're friends, which I don't know how they're friends, she started to address it right off the bat, which tells me, okay, maybe they're going to play the long game with this. Maybe they're going to be women's tag team champions for quite some time, tease the turn, and we eventually get the turn, I don't know, Rumble time, right? I think Royal Rumble is probably the right time to do it. Or they could drop it on a Raw beforehand and then have Asuka or have Charlotte in the Royal Rumble match itself. A lot of ways to go. Again, 6 weeks is it's an eternity in wrestling time. So there's that. Okay, I'm just covering the Asuka and Charlotte dynamic. I didn't even get to the other part of this. The other part, bet you didn't think I was going to do a deep dive on this. Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce. First of all, Lacey Evans. Again, these are their opponents, because we're still talking about a match here that I haven't even talked about yet. But Lacey Evans, boy, you talk about somebody that's gone from relevancy to obscurity. There's no better example than Lacey Evans. I mean, she went from heel to babyface, back to heel. Everyone's nasties again. Everything's nasty. We're all nasties. Okay, I mean, please, can we move on? Please. But Lacey Evans, she's I think a good competitor. She's got a strong personality. We all know her military background that was only brought up when she was a babyface. Makes sense. I'm not knocking them on that. Makes sense you'd hide that until she's a babyface. But now we can't forget it when she's a heel. So are we just going to forget that she was former military, so we're booing our own military? I don't know. Kind of weird. But Lacey Evans has been doing almost nothing. And Peyton Royce, who was part of the Iconics, that I really enjoyed, and I felt like the Iconics kind of got the heavy machinery treatment where they never really got off the ground. They did a couple of matches here and there. Heavy machinery never even got to be tag team champions. Imagine that. It's insane. But they never really got off the ground. You think they were going to go big with them. They'd return, they'd leave, they'd come back. And then they didn't do anything, and they just said, "Oh, well, if you guys are going to break up." Well, why? And it's in a division that needs tag teams to credibilize. Is that a word? To validate. There's a better word. To validate the women's tag team championship. You're starting to break up tag teams, and I could understand if there was a reason for it. There's a big reason you're going to, take Peyton Royce or Billie Kay and do something big with them. I could see that. But what have they done with them? They took Billie Kay and made her into a comedy segment and showing everyone her resume, which it's mildly entertaining. It is. I mean, I don't hate when I see Billie Kay. I just go, okay, I'll get a quick little chuckle and we'll move on with our lives. about people rejecting her, doing, basically she can do everything under the sun on her resume, which is, kind of funny. But then, there's that. She's been relegated to a comedy act backstage. And then you have Peyton Royce, who was broken up from a tag team, only to be put back in a tag team. Think about that. And Billie Kay and Peyton Royce were way better together than Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce, if they think that that's going to be a thing. Am I following something? Am I missing something? Peyton Royce was broken up in the tag team just to be in another tag team. What? I don't know. This is bizarre. It's bizarre. I don't know if they just felt like they needed more women's single stars at that time, so they broke up the Iconics thinking that maybe one or both of them could be big stars in the future, and then they didn't do anything, and was like, oh crap, whoops. Yeah, we probably shouldn't have broke them up, right? I don't know. So anyway, this match, Asuka Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce, way deeper than you probably thought I was going to talk about, right? Way more information probably than you maybe needed or wanted to hear. But it's a deeper storyline interwoven than you may realize on the surface. That's why I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive there. So the match here itself ended up with Charlotte getting the win over Peyton Royce using the figure 8 as Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler watch backstage. So Peyton Royce loses to Charlotte Flair. Yep, that's all I got to say about the match. It was fine. I mean, nothing really special. Just kind of like your forgettable, solid match that you'll never remember again. I mean, that's just what it was. I hate to say that because I respect what they do in the ring, but there was nothing memorable here. Nothing. So, moving on. Okay, the VIP Lounge Championship Edition. I'm not a big talk show type of setup that happens every single show. I'm not big on the faux talk shows. I never was, never have been. Carlito's Cabana. I don't know why that one first came to mind. We have Piper's Pit, one of the one of the founders of that format, I should say. It's really late, guys. I apologize for stumbling over my words. It's been a long few days with wrestling all over the place and with pay-per-views and everything else. But anyway, so I'm not a big fan of that kind of format. And Miz TV, we'll get to that later. Can we please have a segment of Raw that doesn't include Miz TV? Please. I don't know why it needs to be just a part of Monday Night Raw. But okay. The VIP Lounge is what I'm talking about. And I actually enjoy this because, number one, it doesn't happen often. Number two, MVP is great on the mic and has overachieved tenfold what I thought he was going to achieve upon his return to WWE. I thought they were just going to come play out the whole ball-in MVP that was facing Matt Hardy back on SmackDown in the late 2000s, and it was just going to kind of be a retro fit back to, stuck in that era where, kind of where John Morrison is, which is like irrelevancy and stuck in a time loop that he can't escape. That's where Morrison is. So I was fearful of that, but they've done really a masterful job with MVP. And this group has achieved way more than I think anybody ever thought that these four men were going to achieve when they got them together as the Hurt Business. And with Bobby Lashley as the United States champion, saying to us that there's no man alive that can beat me. Well, here's the thing, Lashley. No one's challenging you for it, right? Like, when's the last time that Bobby Lashley defended his United States Championship? It's been a while. So there's that, right? And then you have Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. I'm glad they're getting, number one, mic time. I want to hear more from Cedric Alexander. I think there's something there. Shelton, you know what you're getting, a 45-year-old guy in the backside of his career that is still more athletic, more agile than probably most 20-year-olds on this planet, and has had an underrated career. Them as tag team champions. We have, again, Bobby Lashley is United States champion. This group has the gold right now, and I'm loving what they're doing with them. Now, unfortunately, we had to have R-Truth and the 24/7 title train chase after him, which I can't stand. Like, I just went from positive to negative in a second, but this segment did not need R-Truth and the same 5 guys who single file chase R-Truth around the building. I mean, are they literally single filing chasing him? Is this like a, Catholic elementary school? We're all single file lining up to go into school to walk through the doors. Like, it's not funny. It's not entertaining anymore. It never was entertaining with a single file. It's just plain stupid the way that they do that. It's the lack of attention to detail or the not caring about detail with that thing. I do not like the single file chasing. It's complete just nonsense. But R-Truth shows up when they he basically photobombs them. But we also got an interruption of Matt Riddle and Jeff Hardy, who interrupted them. And, I've said this before. I am big on Matt Riddle in the ring. I'll get to the positives. I think this guy's super talented in the ring. He's got a good look. His entrance music is catchy. I'm not a fan of the slow-mo flip-flops flying off with fireworks going off that need to be shown every single time. Is that really worthy of a slow-mo? Is that really worthy of a replay? Is more accurate. Do I need a replay? Do I need instant replay? Do I need the refs to go back in and look at the play to make sure that it was that no flags need to be thrown? Like, I don't know why we need a slow-mo every time. Just like I don't know why we need Miz and Morrison in their whole kind of like slow-mo movie effect that takes place about 10 seconds into their walk down the ramp when Morrison poses. You guys know what I'm talking about. And Miz holds up his championship or holds up whatever. I don't understand that. But Matt Riddle in the ring, great. This kid's got a gas tank that is endless. He's physical. The no shoes thing does make him feel different. I'm sure it's actually more of a risk for him not putting shoes on, given the fact you more easily break a toe, trip. I mean, there's a lot of different negatives about having no boots on, wrestling boots, but Matt Riddle in the ring, I've got nothing to complain about, and I think he's got a bright future in the ring. Now, you guys know what I'm about to say, because it shows its ugly head every single week of Matt Riddle going off the deep end with his on drugs analysis about life. There's no other way to put this. It'd be like a conversation you'd have with somebody that was stoned out of their mind or on some kind of narcotic. That is how I feel Matt Riddle speaks to me. He's talking about we're just like self-aware carbon beings that are being hurled on a rock through space, man. What? Who relates to this? Who is relating to this? Who is finding this entertaining? I didn't. I found it unrelatable, not funny, eye-rolling, obnoxious. You pick your adjective, and I'll check the box. Why do they continue to throw Matt Riddle out there as this hippie / Greek lifestyle surfer pothead that is just coming up with all of these ideas and all of these just wacky analysis and all these things that it's not befitting as a babyface. Even as a heel, I would kind of go well, so what are we getting at? It just doesn't belong anywhere. Because it has no purpose. It has no end game. It doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you from point A to point B. All he cares, he's just telling people to just relax and chill, bro. Everything's got to be bro. Everything's got to be bro nuts. Everything we're the, what was it, the Hardy Bros or something like that. Well, it's ironic that I believe they call themselves the Hardy Bros. Because, well, if you're the Hardy Bros, that means you're the Hardy Brothers, which means you're really Matt and Jeff Hardy. It's kind of weird, right? But I know what they're trying to do. They're combining their names. I cannot stand this iteration of Matt Riddle. But apparently someone is enjoying it because it continues. We got to come up with silly, cute nicknames like we're 8 years old, and talk about hurling. We're just self-aware beings, carbon beings. Like, come on. I would just have Matt Riddle shut his mouth and wrestle. That's what I would do. I would get off of this bandwagon of trying to be the chill dude that is everyone's friend's man. He feels like he's kind of like, he's the guy in the 70s who wore the tie-dye, and he's sitting by a tree playing a guitar as the girls are sitting around, and he's telling everyone to kind of just chill. Everything's cool, man. Like, that's not engaging. It doesn't make me feel anything for him other than annoyance. I don't know. I have a big problem with Matt Riddle personality-wise. Some of you totally disagree. That's great. If you like Matt Riddle, wonderful. I don't. I can't stand his character. Cannot stand it. Oy. Okay. But we do get Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle. I still say Matt Riddle because he's wearing the M Riddle outfit, so he still has Matt Riddle versus Bobby Lashley and MVP. I have no issue with this match. Again, kind of the same way with the women's match, tag team match here. The men's match here wasn't anything to write home about. It was a standard match that ended up having Bobby Lashley beat Jeff Hardy, who was trapped in the Hurt Lock. And boy, has Jeff Hardy gone on a downward spiral too in terms of on the ladder of importance. He was the IC title holder for a while, beat Sheamus in a bar fight, and has lost ever since. I mean, this dude has just keep losing and losing and losing and losing, and he's in a match now to take the pinfall. I'm not too concerned about Jeff Hardy's career. He'll never be that guy again, but he's a usable talent. He's got name recognition. He can cut an okay promo, and I'm being generous there. So he certainly has value left. It's just striking where he was, is what I'm trying to get at. And of course, on the non-Hulu version, so I had to actually read this and watch clips from it because Hulu doesn't appear, or whoever edits this Hulu version to put on Hulu from WWE clearly did not care to put them on the actual main show, and I'm talking about Retribution, because we had T-Bar versus Ricochet. And from what I understand and what I'm reading and what clips I saw, we had T-Bar get the win with a GTS, and then Retribution stood over Ricochet demanding he join them or be destroyed. Boy, I'd be shaking in my boots with all the progress that Retribution's made. Yeah, they're definitely on steady ground to be able to, demand people to join them or be destroyed, because they're just so effective at destroying everyone over the last few months. I mean, boy, they carry a lot of weight. And if you can read sarcasm and hear it, there's a whole bucket full of it right now. Okay. Moving on to something a little more relevant. Let's see. Drew Gulak versus Angel Garza. Kind of a quick match. Garza finished the match with a wing clipper to beat Drew Gulak. And this, these are two guys that could have a really good 20-30 minute match if they were in the ring together. I really think that. Drew Gulak is, you talk about a pure wrestler. Whew. I think that being taken away from Daniel Bryan was the worst thing that ever happened to Drew Gulak, because he was starting to feel like irrelevant and gaining momentum, and he's doing something. Then he gets thrown on Raw, and they don't know what to do with him. They just put him in a match to be a wrestling match with no real story. I'm concerned. But Angel Garza, they have on WWE Twitter, sure, he's romantic, but he's also got a mean streak. Why is he so... Is he Latino heat? I don't understand what they're trying to do with him. I'm not following. I'm not crapping on either man. They just seem to be kind of lost in outer space right now, and I don't have anything solid to grasp on for either man, and that's my only concern. So it's not really a complaining session, but okay. Miz TV, because God Almighty, what would Monday Night Raw be without a Miz TV segment that is just, you talk about tired. Woof. So Miz TV starts by apologizing to his family for failing to cash in. AJ and Omos come out, and he gets upset at Miz's poor decision last night to cash in, and Miz launches into an intense promo, probably the most important promo he's had, or relevant promo that the Miz has had in, oh my God, probably this entire year. Ever since Morrison joined him, this has probably been the best promo he's cut, because he's just been the goofy, correct, all that garbage that he spews out on a weekly basis. So Miz can turn it on when he wants to, but they were just telling him to be the goofy D-bag. Okay. So he launches into an intense promo about his failure to recapture the glory of the previous decade. So maybe that's a clue that he could be moving on, and the whole Miz Morrison team could be split. The reason I say that too is not just because of that promo alluding to the past and what he used to do, but also the fact that once it was brought up that Morrison cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase and not him, he kind of looked at Morrison like, yeah, what are you doing, man? You screwed me, right? Kind of in that way. And that launched Miz into a fury of finding a way to get his briefcase back, because he wasn't the one that cashed it in. Yet, I mean, he didn't cash it in, but would it really matter who cashed it in, because he accepted it as a cash in. So if someone cashed it in on your behalf, that's still legal, because you still received the benefits of that cash in. You already signed the contract. You are the contract holder. I don't know. And by the way, if you're not a contract holder, how can you cash in unless there's a clause? See, I'm getting all legal now. But I guess the Miz could easily find a way to get the briefcase back, which, to the Botch guy's credit, did say could happen. And damn you is all I have to say. Because I do not want to see Miz with the briefcase again. I don't. I was glad it got cashed in and it's gone, and I have a feeling it could be back. All right, so during this brilliant Miz TV, we also have Drew McIntyre coming out, and they just can't even let the WWE Champion off without some hokey Christmas reference that everyone is apparently making a "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" parody of something. Everyone seems to be doing this. I'm not just talking about wrestling. I'm talking like everywhere. For whatever reason, I'm seeing everybody put some kind of cute spin on "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," but even WWE can't let Drew McIntyre or Sheamus or Keith Lee go on this. They nailed it. And this is according to WWE's Twitter. It said that "'twas the nightmare after TLC, and Drew, Sheamus, and Keith Lee just nailed it." No, they didn't. I mean, I guess it was as good of a bad segment that it could be. And I don't know why they just insist on trying to be funny or put a spin or be ironic or cute or I don't know what it is. It didn't put a smile on my face that they're always talking about. That important smile on my face was not there, that they're so concerned about. It just, I don't know, I don't get it. But they did it. They did it quick and fine, whatever. They just kind of did what they were told there. And then there was a tension brewing between Sheamus and Keith Lee. And Sheamus continues to play the babyface. I'm very shocked. I really am. I'm very shocked that Sheamus has not turned yet, but it's coming. You can pretty much bank on that. All right. Well, all of this was to set up for the main event of Miz, Morrison, AJ Styles versus Sheamus, Keith Lee, and Drew McIntyre. Again, Drew McIntyre trying to play peacekeeper between Keith Lee and Sheamus in the Holiday Street Fight. Now, let me get this straight with the rules, by the way. If it's a street fight, why are there rules that you have to tag in and out? It's either a street fight or it's not. If it's a street fight, by default, there are no rules other than just beat your opponent, pin them, or make them submit. Inside or out. Or, sometimes street fights are falls count anywhere, sometimes they're not. But this wasn't defined. But my point is, why are there people tagging in and out? It should have just been like kind of a tornado tag team match where there's no tagging in and out because it's a street fight. Does anybody follow me here? I don't know. Apparently that's the one rule in the street fight is you got to tag in and out or damn it, you'll be disqualified. But no, don't worry. You can throw your opponent through a table and that's not a DQ. I don't know. But okay. This was just kind of, again, a standard main event. This was just a below average Raw overall, I think. And, again, that's fine. I'm not really disappointed that it was a below average Raw because I expect that this time of year. And we'll probably have one more Raw like this at the, next 29th of December before the January 5th edition, I believe, of Raw will be the one to kick it into high gear. Always is. So we get the typical throwing gifts at each other, throwing empty boxes at each other, Christmas trees. Everyone's being thrown into Christmas trees, and AJ Styles got put through a table that was conveniently placed out there with milk, cookies, and eggnog, and AJ got eggnog on him, and it was just, I don't even know what to say, but we had Keith Lee and Sheamus work well together to clear the ring, and that wasn't the end of the story, though, because we also had people using candy canes to beat each other. I hate even saying that. Like, even saying those words make me angry. But Sheamus uses a kendo stick to duel Morrison. And then, despite all three tagging in and out, it's Keith Lee that gets the pin over the... Miz. Miz is the one who took the pin with his powerbomb. Almost sends Morrison through a table. And after the match, Sheamus bro kicks Keith Lee to the chagrin of Drew. I'm literally reading that. And yes, I watch Raw. I'm not just reading it and reciting it back to you. So Sheamus turning on Drew, or turning on Keith Lee, sets up Keith Lee versus Sheamus. And, I guess that leaves, well, where do Drew's loyalties lie? Because he's friends with both guys? Even though, by the way, Sheamus and Drew and Keith Lee and Drew have all brawled with one another. So there's no real... there's friendships there. But you would think the deeper one goes with Sheamus based on their history. So, I don't know. I guess Keith Lee versus Sheamus is up next based on the ending of Raw. Which, I guess I'm mildly interested in. It's okay. Fine. Again, you're going to see a few of these Raws over the next 6 weeks because they have 6 freaking weeks to fill before we have Royal Rumble. And once we get the Royal Rumble... then it's full, it's kicking into, 5th gear on the road to WrestleMania. But when you have 6 weeks, you're going to have some clunkers. Especially, you got SmackDown that falls on Christmas Day. Get ready for somebody to go through, empty boxes that are set up and the Christmas tree on stage, or some kind of cute reference, or whatever. I'm not a fan of the holidays because it's always it's a creative slump. It's a creative slump. But overall, again, guys, it was just a below average Raw. And, I guess some of the highlights were Alexa Bliss's return, the whole 8-layered Charlotte Flair Asuka alliance / Lana / Peyton Royce in a tag team that she just got broken up from a tag team. Again, I didn't mean to spend so much time on that, but when you really break it down, it's like, whoa, right? There's a lot happening here that you could analyze and that they haven't wrapped up or whatnot. So, anyway, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed the Monday Night Raw review. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so it's my final day of the week to record, but I'll be doing 2 shows tomorrow, which is your Wrestling Nostalgia, and it'll be your WWE Podcast Mailbag. So they've been interesting the past few weeks, no doubt about that, so that'll be a fun one to listen to and reply on air. If you'd like to join that conversation and you want to call us, well, you can email us first. If you'd like to choose the email road, that email is realwwepodcast@gmail.com, and you can just literally pop in a voice memo into the email as an attachment, or call us. Way easier. 518-952-0247. And right now, I am counting, just so you know what I'm going to answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 voicemails already, guys. 8 voicemails, so it could be a jam-packed show tomorrow. And I'm thinking it will be. I think I see a response on there from one of the guys that wanted to talk about race with me. I don't know. I'm not doing this in a combative way. It was just a very interesting conversation last week. So it's always fun. I really enjoy it. So anyway, guys, that's the schedule tomorrow. And then, of course, the NXT review comes to you on Thursday. And then we have Michael Ritter's SmackDown review on Friday, which drops on Saturday morning, along with your weekend review that also comes to you with a co-host this coming Sunday night. So yeah, we're going to keep going, even though it's Christmas week. We're here. There's not a lot that we're traveling for. At least in my neck of the woods, there's not a lot happening. So we'll be here. No shows are going to be stopped because of the holidays. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the audio for the rest of the week. Enjoy the holidays, and I will talk to you next time.